off to the game now. Darren and Johnny here, wow. Talking NFL, no doubt. Breakdowns and the standout. Big plays and the touchdowns.
All right, we've got Johnny 3 and Out back in action in his YouTube studio. He's all set to go. Good to have you back, man.
Thank you. Yeah, can't keep me away for too long. It's good to be back. You know, I did miss not jumping in like Kevin and Traco there sessions, but it was good listening to him. You know, I feel like I know him a little bit better now.
Yeah, that's what folks are saying. I was talking to Philip the other day, and you know, he had a special request for Tyler because I think he missed, I don't know, that first episode or something, but he basically was saying that he feels like he gets to know folks on when they get on here. So
yeah, exactly.
Luckily we finish everyone. We might, I don't know, throw 2 people at a time or whoever wants to hop on, get some guys in.
Could do that.
But Johnny, good to have you back because there's a lot to dig into. I mean, I've never seen a league like this. I don't know if you have, but literally everyone is at risk. Kevin's probably the only person, like, whether he wins a game, if he wins one game, he's in. He's like fixed in based on rank. I'll just pull it up here actually.
Right. You mean as far as playoffs, like getting into the playoffs or whatever? Or
yeah.
Well, I think we're down to 3 games left. I think, right? 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we have 14 weeks, and we're we just played week 11. Yeah. So we have
3 left.
Yeah, 3 left. So if we pull up the rankings right here, and we'll get into everything, but yeah, let's just look here. So I was talking to Ian about this. Nick, had he won last week, I think he would have had a shot to win out. At this point, I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what, Nick is, I think I play him week 13, and he's like projected to beat me. So I don't see him hitting rock bottom. Like, you know, if you're in the losers bracket with Nick, it's not good because I don't think he loses. He's now his team's all back. He's like looking really good. So fortunately, I don't know if he makes playoffs, but I definitely don't see him walking away, you know, in the singlet in the gym or the tattoo or an IHOP.
Same, yeah. His team's good. I think Austin's the one who has to be worried. You know, his team just it's not putting up points, and you know, not sure how engaged he is on it. I mean, it seems like his lineup's been. Well, he did. I think he's the 1 week where he missed somebody or whatever. Right? He didn't start a defense or whatever, or maybe he caught it at the very end. But he, you know, when you look like this last week, he didn't have a lot of points, and you just don't know where they're going to come from. So I think he's the one that probably the favorite at the moment to get.
He's also had a really tough schedule because he's had 15, 38 scored against, and if you look at the lineup, you know, there's me, Philip. I mean, I'm in 1,600 points scored against, so I've gotten blasted on this schedule. Everybody else is like Kevin 12s. He's in the 12s.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. I'm convinced he's like pulling some strings somewhere. Like he's either got to be talking to the opposing team where you know, either he's got players on that team or he's playing players on that team, you know, or he's pulling strings inside the Rams. I don't know.
Yeah, I know
something's not right.
Well, because if you think about it, you typically lose, you know, the point spread. Sometimes it's 5 points, sometimes it's 15, you know, 20, maybe 30 points. But when you talk about 324 point difference or 23 point difference, break that up over 3. That's like over 30 points the last like 10 games.
Each game, yeah, pretty much over each game, yeah. And then he hasn't spent $1 of his waiver money.
Yeah, I know.
Hasn't even scored that many points, you know, honestly.
So 14.
It's pretty wild, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm so Philip's in the lead. Ian's 2 points behind. I'm 6 points off of Philip. Or
Austin's got more points than Kevin does.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, so the 9th place has more points than the first place. So Philip, you know, Cooper Street Ballers, he was also telling me on that conversation, he was like, he was so frustrated on his like 4 or 5 game losing streak that he was like dreaming up a new app for fantasy football.
Yeah, he's gonna
where it was like more of a matrix of factors. And I think he proposed it in the chat where it's basically, it's not just your record, but there's also, you know, your points scored,
Okay.
and other factors that kind of like help contribute to the rank. So it's not just like, bad timing, which,
Which
I'm open to people suggesting these things for us to kind of like, rule on going into next season and kind of like take a 2/3 majority vote on or something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think it totally makes sense. And I think it keeps guys like me out of like, not making playoffs when you're, 6 points off the top scorer. But
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It also is just the nature of competition and giving everybody, the same, equal footing for wins and losses, which is it's totally apparently the chance.
Hmm.
And I mean,
True.
I don't know. I don't know, if guys are playing me harder or it's just like the random timing, but this is how it worked out last season. Like I
It's the exact
literally
same thing as last season. Yeah,
I
it
know.
could just be, when everyone's playing Darren, they see Darren on the schedule. It's like, oh, I really gotta tweak my lineup this
They've
week. And
got it circled on the
yeah,
calendar like
maybe everybody puts like an extra minute or two into like looking into their bench and seeing who's and they just choose they choose the right combination. Like
and
you
I've
right, and I think
and it's caused me to have to get
yeah,
smarter too. I've had to get smarter after talking to Traco about it too. That was kind of a helpful perspective where it's like, okay, yeah, who is throwing them the ball? Who are they, playing against? Like, in which I did to a degree, but now it's like, okay, if I've got a receiver, but the running back's hurt, how is that going to affect the defense the receiver's playing against? Because now they don't have to stack the box and, they're going to be
yeah,
more focused on the pass game. And it's like the little things like
those
that.
things. Yeah, true. Hmm.
And I'm not sure how definitive those are because sometimes I've watched analysts talk about that and made, I don't watch analysts anymore because it's like, oh, this revenge game, oh, this factor, that factor. And it's like a total, you know,
Just goes the
it's the
opposite way.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was like, that's not. But I think it's like if you look at trends and you consider factors like I had Ferguson, Dallas Cowboys tight end, and
Yeah, went
Dak
down.
Prescott, Dak Prescott's
Yeah,
down, and CeeDee
true.
Lamb suffering, Ferguson, and he's going into a tough schedule ahead.
Just
It's
the
like,
Cowboys in general, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Dak's out for the season, right? So the offense, really, the rest of the year, you can't expect much. Uh,
yeah. So I think I dropped him, and it's
yeah,
just stuff like that where I'm just trying to be a little bit more aware. But, obviously Ian, Phil, they deserve to be up. I mean,
I know.
I'm not going to say
I should
anyone.
be up there where Ian and Phil are. I don't know why I'm down there at 5 or
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm not going to say anyone doesn't deserve to be up there because Kevin, he's up there against the odds of injuries with Cooper Cup out, AJ Brown was out for a while. So,
Yeah,
hey, more power to him. He's pretty much clinched his spot in playoffs with a bye
yeah,
week probably
probably.
if he gets 9 games, if he wins 9 games, he's probably going to hold the number 1 spot.
Definitely get a bye for sure with one more win. He probably would have to lose out to not get a bye, at this
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
exactly. And so but for the rest of us, you know, anyone with a 6 anyone with 6 wins or 5 wins, I
I
mean,
know. Even Austin is still not totally out of it yet, but his
yeah.
team isn't really showing
So
promise.
with 3 games, these scores are all so close too. I mean, at least between Ian, Phil, and I. But
Hmm.
3 games left in the season, really, it's like, I mean, Josh, he's, texting me that he's gonna, take me out. It's like
And
he's
Tyler's still right in it. I mean, if
yeah,
Tyler
Tyler.
and Josh both lose this week, then that kind of puts them behind the 8 ball there. But yeah, I mean, this week right now, yeah, they're still in it.
So I mean, if I lost out, I'm not in playoffs.
You
If
too, I
I
guess. Yeah, I mean, if you lose this week, right, it's good. But and if Josh and Tyler both win, then yeah, that's gonna only 2 weeks
it
left.
probably takes 8 wins to make playoffs, right?
Well, not in the 6th seed. I think the 6th seed might have a losing record. You
So
know,
s- so yeah, I'm saying that, like probably 8 to really guarantee a spot or to really like know that you're comfy.
for sure. Yeah, to know you're comfy. Yeah, yeah.
But the 5 and 6 position, yeah, I mean, if you have if you have I guess my point is if you have 7 wins, there's no guarantees. Like
Yeah,
you
true.
may not secure a spot in playoffs with 7 wins unless you're the highest scoring 7-win team, then you squeeze a spot in. But like,
Yeah.
okay, if Phil gets 7, if all of these people win one more game, that leaves one spot left. So if you got to win 2, if you win 2 games, now you've bettered your chances. So
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
7. So yeah, 7 would be 7-7. I guess would be the record if you had 7
Yeah.
wins, right? So that'd be 500. So yeah, that probably would be the record of the 6th place team. It's hard to imagine a team being 6-8 and making the playoffs.
Yeah. So what I'm
but,
looking at right now is okay. All the way through position 5 is 6 wins. Now the odds of you guys winning 1 out of the next 3 are pretty high, as
yeah,
well as some of these 5 and 6 teams winning 2 out of the next 3. So 7 wins. It's I don't know that guarantees 8 wins. That's these guys are winning 2. These guys are winning out. I think you're comfortable. I think
right.
if you have 8 wins, you're probably a lock. But if you have 7 wins, that's probably what it's going to take to land like a 5 or a 6 spot.
Right. What happened to you last year, Darren? Did you miss playoffs?
Dude,
Yeah.
it was frustrating because it was similar thing to this, but I had who did I have? Somebody
You
was
were like right
out.
on the end. We had 12 people last year as
I
well.
had a
But yeah.
couple like top performers that were injured through like the middle of the season or like the last third or something.
Yeah.
And it just gave me a bunch of losses. And then I just was top producing in our league for the last like several games. And dude, Isaiah, who was like the last place team,
Yeah.
like the game before playoffs, knocked me out of the playoffs.
Right. I remember that. Yeah, that was like the Lions taking the Packers out a couple years ago.
And
Yeah.
that's why Nick was kind of going with the Reaper motto, which in this
Right.
case, now he is because you need every win you can get. And Nick, as he comes out, let's see. So who plays him? So Kevin, he's not really in danger. Week 12, no big deal. Yeah, I've got to deal with him week
Yeah, you
13.
gotta deal
Lucky
with them. Yeah.
me.
Who's he play last?
And then Austin. So I don't
Austin.
know how
Okay.
many.
Well, yeah, the one against Austin's kind of irrelevant, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are really. I don't know what this.
Because
Okay,
they
then it
both
goes to
might have
playoffs.
buys for the bottom for the losers bracket or whatever.
Yeah,
More than
and
likely. So,
then dude, just jumping right into the actual matchups. To my point, so last week I know we didn't cover it. I was podium. I mean, not a big score, but I was the top 3 scorer, and I lost to the number 1 scorer. And then this week, I've got 146 points. I think I
yeah.
was like 4th or probably 4th. Yeah, because we have 51, 49, 78. So yeah, I was 4th here. And I mean, Traco comes out of the woodwork with 178 points. Like that's insane.
That was the high score of the week, right? Best manager? No, it wasn't best manager, but high score, highest score.
Yeah,
Dang, dude, that is so 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, that is. And then when you look at it, like who won with a low score, I guess it would be me. It'd be me this week with
well, yeah, let's go
points.
with that.
All right, let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it.
Weekly report. So we got hats off to Josh coming back since Tua went down. He's just had an incredible bad luck.
Now Tua's back, and look at that, he's winning.
Yeah, Nick set the worst lineup possible. Possibly could have scored 149 points. Probably came from guys that he wasn't expecting. I mean, okay, so if he set the perfect lineup, he would have beat Ian by like point, I don't know, 6.
Yeah,
Right there.
dang.
Point. Yeah, less than 0.6.
That's a
It would
lot.
have been
That's a lot.
0.54. Yeah.
That's
I
insane.
I don't know how realistic. I don't know how realistic that would have been if we look at his lineup. If he
Yeah,
could have,
we'll have to look at that there, but still, I mean, man, that's
Josh kind of, there's I feel like this was a very meaningful game. These guys, this was they were kind of neck and neck. And,
they were, yeah. And Josh needed it more, I guess, right? He had 4 wins going into that. He was
Yeah.
4 and 6. Whereas, yeah,
That could have been Tyler's, kind of if you have 6 wins at this point in time, you're in a very solid position to make playoffs. And so now these guys are going to be battling it out.
Come from behind a little bit, try to take somebody out. Yeah, like myself.
Which is wild because Nick had texted me. He's like, dude, how is it that, you and Tyler have the same record and you've outscored them by,
how much
what is it at this point? Like, 300 points almost, like 275 points or something crazy like that.
Yeah. So like you said, 30 points a game, basically. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
That's
so,
yeah.
But let's see here. So we have narrow victory. Philip, that's a tough loss for Austin. He's been getting those all year.
I know. Yeah, if he had gotten that one, that would have put him at 5 and 6. That would have,
that would have put him in playoff
the
contention.
same position as Tyler, and then it would have also dropped Phil.
It would have dropped Phil.
Yeah, and then
that would have made positions like 3 through 9 all in the same boat.
Right.
know?
Yeah, that would have been that could have been a big swing. And he was close. Austin's his team actually, I shouldn't be giving him too much crap. His team actually did score more than mine did this week. But
1470 on the year, and you have 1440 on the year. So and look, he's
the same.
He's had about 92 points scored against him, more than you have, which that could have been different. But we can't get
I feel
into
like
that.
He's also had some games though that have been really low. Like he's had some games in like 100 or whatever. Like he's probably been the lowest scorer in terms of like games under 120 or whatever. The year, but
Lone Star Traco really catching speed at the right time. He's on a good trajectory.
Holy crap! Taysom Hill had 42 points. That's insane. I didn't realize.
I know. Wait, Taysom Hill. Who is he? Was he on Tyler?
On the Saints. That was the tight end of the week.
Yeah, Tyler's.
Did Tyler start him? Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and he still got the. We'll jump into that. I don't know.
And the QB, he got the QB too. That's what the heck.
Okay, overachiever, below expectations. All right, yeah. QB of the week. It's so funny because he technically is like QB and tight end. It's just
he must have threw a pass or something in that game.
Yeah, one of 2 completions for 18 yards and an interception.
Wow.
Running back Mixon. It's great to have that going. Unfortunately, Amon-Ra just went off. That was a big game for him. He's just like a very consistent performer. So Taysom Hill was a QB of the week and the tight end of the week.
That's the first time I've ever seen that. Yeah. We'll look at the moves real quick. Let's see. So Austin brought back Anthony Richardson. His initial draft pick from.
Was he hurt?
There. Yeah. Well, I think he got hurt, and then maybe he got benched, right? And then now he's back being the starter. But Gino goes down. Let's see. Phil added Christian Watson. Ian's added a new defense, and
there was not much bidding going on except for Austin kind of going big.
Yeah, a lot of zeros. Yeah, Phil bet $10. I actually made some moves earlier today. Dropped Kirk Cousins and got a new kicker and tight end and a couple things, But that was mainly because there's a lot of buys going on this week. So I don't know.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I don't know how long I'll keep those people for, but anyways.
And Phil, this is a learning moment with Adam Thielen. You actually bid $1 and outbid Ian, but you didn't choose anyone to drop after. And I don't know if it's because you picked somebody else, but that's why you lost on that one. Yes. So, not too many crazy moves. I think guys are just kind of like grabbing the outskirt.
At this point, you're just hoping to maybe replace somebody with a guy who can get you like 8 to 10 points, and like maybe on a favorable matchup, right?
Exactly.
You're playing worse defense or whatever, but
that's what it kind of morphs into post like week 6. It's just like you're just looking for that little bit of favorable matchup as opposed to like, and I've noticed a lot of guys are doing that. They're like, kind of swapping their kickers and their D and their flex in and out just for the sake of, hey, who
Something
might
new,
go off
yeah.
this game that's going to get
Right.
me 10 to 12 points versus 8, you know.
What's is it trade deadline passed, or do we have one, or is it still?
Yeah, we do have a trade deadline. I believe the trade deadline is going to kick off.
Hasn't happened yet.
If
like,
it's
what?
not this week, I mean, I think
Maybe
it's
I
week
might
12.
launch some trades at Nick and Austin. You know,
The trades,
slip a 20 on the back end.
So last season we saw a lot of trades. This season we haven't. I don't know if we've seen any
Not
trades.
much.
So week
Yeah, I don't know.
11, actually, Johnny, great call out. Trade deadline is this week. It's week 11. Or wait,
Yeah.
I guess week 11 is trade
Or
deadline. So
we're
it
going
must
to.
have closed.
Yeah, maybe it's closed now.
So select the final week to allow trading for your fantasy season. Trades must be accepted prior to the end of the final game of your selected week. So unfortunately,
maybe it's
trade blocks have now closed. And the reason that it is like that is because people are kind of anticipating their stack rank, and we don't want any bogus trades, late in the season.
Bogus trades.
It's like, hey, give me this guy and I'll split the pot with you or whatever.
Yeah, hey, whatever it takes, right?
But that's also why we have such a crazy penalty for losing, because it just motivates everybody to not quit all season.
I mean, man, look at Nick's team. These guys could do wonders for my group. McCaffrey over here.
I know. Which McCaffrey has been like pretty. So what should we just
Pickens? Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump into Ian. Ian
Okay.
versus Nick, since you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Ian, this is like ridiculous. He never drafted a QB, and he's like been working with Baker Mayfield, who has done exceptionally well for him. I don't know if he started him versus the Niners or not, but outside of that, he's done pretty well outside of that in Denver.
Solid.
But dude, he goes and gets Bo Nix, who
I know
puts up 28 points with 4 TDs, and he's actually,
the Broncos look good. If they're not playing like one of the top teams in the league, they're probably going to win, and they're playing good, but if it seems like if they go up against, the top 5, top 6 teams, like they're not ready yet. But
and I was talking to Ian about this on the phone yesterday or 2 days ago, where it's like in a 10 team league, you can get away with not drafting a QB, but in a 12 team league, I don't think you can.
Probably not. Yeah, that'd be tough.
And so he lucked out because there's guys that pop up that weren't expected, but yeah, so obviously he does great there. I mean, Darnold still has a really good score. Saquon Barkley, that's really producing well, and then of course McCaffrey underproducing the last 2 weeks since being back.
How about those Niners, man? Those Cardinals are in first place, and those Niners might miss the playoffs. They're kind of reeling.
Is it really that on the fence line? I didn't.
I mean, it's still in play for sure. It's not like and there's still 6
games left. They've had so many injuries this season. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries, and Purdy's had to carry the load, and it's just those games that they were winning, last couple of years, they're losing them now, right?
Yeah.
So the close ones.
So, nothing crazy here. I mean, Smith and Jigba, I think he's been just
Well,
going off.
I don't know if DK Metcalf was injured. He might have been back this last week, but that's still that's a good game. 100.
Oh, Metcalf's out, so he's getting all the targets. Yeah, I mean,
he was getting a lot of targets there. Yeah,
13 targets here with 2 TDs.
11.
Targets.
Look at that. Yeah, way more of a player in the off. Yeah, so
Davante Adams
benefited Ian for sure. Metcalf being out, but I think Metcalf's back now as of this week. I think.
Okay, so that's going to kind of put him back to normal numbers. Davante Adams had a nice spark, I think, his first week with the Jets.
Dude, that is just the saddest situation.
I know.
Like, to go from the Raiders to the Jets and just still be losing, and then people are getting fired every day there. It's just that is a.
Well, at this point, do you think Aaron Rodgers returns? Because they've blamed everybody else they can.
Well, they just fired the GM, so the new GM, whoever they hire as a new GM, is going to come in there. There's no way he's going to want Rodgers for another year. Like
that's what I'm saying.
That new GM's going to be like, tear it down, pay everybody like as minimum as we can, and then build the roster, get a rookie quarterback or whatever on a cheap contract.
They have young guys. They have as far as the Jets go,
I don't think they're on the timeline. They might need to trade off the parts that they have. They're not; those guys aren't going to be on the timeline.
Dude, Breece Hall. Breece Hall is great. Garrett Wilson.
Like you're gonna have to pay him in the next. You have to make a decision to pay him in a year or two. Or whatever,
okay,
right? They might need to just
Garrett Wilson. He's only in his third year.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson's good. A receiver's probably worth like signing to a second contract. For your new rookie quarterback that you're gonna draft. But yeah, the Jets, because they just fired the GM this week, so I don't think there's any chance they keep Rodgers, because that new GM is gonna.
Yeah, Rodgers is out the door. He's, I mean, I don't know. He was kind of like the hope to, the mature guy to bring him back.
Imagine that, yeah. And then
who was the QB before? Because didn't they have Tyrod? Yeah, they had
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. They tried
last year. He was the one that they drafted second overall, and he kind of was a bust.
They're probably going to get a decent draft order next year.
So they might be picking the quarterback, top 5 or whatever. I don't know who that would be. I don't know. I haven't really been wowed by any of the college quarterbacks this year, but that's kind of another conversation. But, except for Cam Ward. Cam Ward's good.
I haven't been
for Miami.
Yeah, I haven't been following too crazy. But yeah, so D Hop, I thought after I forget why, but
he's
that
had
Tampa Bay game,
but
I thought he was gonna.
The Chiefs offense, it's really
bizarre.
Yeah, it's in terms of scoring, they can move the ball and everything like that. It's very a weird offense in terms of they're not really trying to score a lot of points, and they're fine with just winning the game. 14.
I know.
16. So I would be concerned starting a lot of Chiefs players, at this point.
Yeah, I mean Kelsey, 2 points.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, so Nick, it's just unfortunate, whatever's going on with the Chiefs. Everybody else, I feel did, Pickens has been performing. Ridley, it's not the worst. It's his defense did amazing. So Ian, really, Saquon Barkley, Smith and Jigba kind of won the game for him and then obviously Kelsey and D Hop lost the game for Nick.
Kelsey and D Hop, and then even the running back too, Jones. That was kind of a.
Yeah.
Is he the number one option?
And Ian won with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he just picked Thielen up. So, but he had
Aaron Jones is the number one. Oh, they have. So the Vikings have Cam Akers, which I think he actually scored a touchdown this last weekend. So he's splitting carries there.
Yeah.
He's
Judy
got 5 points.
Okay, so this is where it came from. Judy went off on Nick's bench because remember we looked at it.
Yeah,
he would have had 149, which Judy could toss up with Ridley. I don't know that you would have. Maybe even Hopkins, because really he had 1 standout game or 2. But
I think Nick's playing. He's kind of been playing the Titans players all year long, right? It's a local team for him, and obviously the team that's on TV. But they suck. They're not going anywhere. and their quarterback plays bad. So it's their offense is not. They only scored 13 points this week. So it's their offense is not going to be good. So yeah, probably maybe want to bench him.
So Nick would have had to
he would have had to start Stevenson over Aaron Jones as well, which that would have been that was probably a tougher.
Yeah, there would have been a lot of guys starting over others, and he would have had to have it perfect, which I don't think anybody would have done. Okay, so let's look at Tyler versus Tyreek's Torpedoes. This was kind of really that game where Tyler could have separated into potentially clinching playoffs, but instead now him and Josh are going to be battling it out with everybody else. Josh is definitely.
Where's the potential? Where's it say the potential for the week? What was Tyler's max?
I could pull it up here. It's on the weekly report on the phone. And if you look at Tyler's max, his max could have been 137.
Okay, so he wouldn't have won even if he.
Oh, I see what. Yeah. So he didn't really have a shot this week just because. Yeah. I mean, dude, this is dirty.
Oster, no points. What the hell? Yeah, that's I mean, and then they won that game big time. You know, they won 34-19.
This is just really upsetting. I mean,
A-Chain.
It's like you're hoping for this guy to perform, and you've just got to look at the facts. Like, you know, he's not you can't play this guy at the running back 1 spot. And I don't know if that's because somebody's injured. But look,
Jamal, I mean, Rachaad White.
But Javonte, it's like he's not doing much, but he's doing more than Mostert. Jauan Jennings, of course, just has these like crazy games, and now he's picking up again. I don't know. Maybe that's somebody he can actually count on.
That was the one where he picked him up and then put him in right before he scored the 46 points, right?
He beat me. It's like that's the crap that's happening to me, where it's just like randomly picks this guy up, you know, watching some freaking,
like an hour before the game, pretty much.
Local Niner news, and like Jauan Jennings is going to be coming in for the first time.
Starting.
Everybody thinks he's really good. Like Tyler puts him in, like frick.
I'd never even heard of that name. You know his name.
I know.
That game, you know, it's so. Yeah,
I mean, Tyler follows the Niners pretty closely, so good on him. But it was for sure a gamble. But okay, I mean, I don't even know who this dude is. It's like,
I was gonna say I've never heard of that. Where is he on the depth chart? Let me see.
He's
he's got both the Denver running backs.
Tyler's
why did he bench the other? Why did he bench the Williams running back and then start this guy if he's not the number? If Williams is the number 1?
I think he's just like reading like the tabloids, like trying to get that inside
Dude,
scoop.
He's overthinking it over here.
I know. Well, it's like, you know, Mostert, that ship has sailed until Achane is like injured. He's just not getting the carries.
Oh, okay. It looks like the week before against Kansas City, Javonte Williams only had 2 points against Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
The week prior. So maybe he got pissed about that and then benched him or something like that. And then,
and then McLaurin. And then so this is unusual. This guy's obviously that's a great start.
For sure.
Terry McLaurin, Mooney. I think that just sucks. It just was a bad game for him.
He's been in the teens all the 3 games prior.
Taysom Hill, risky start in my opinion. Goes off.
Well, it looks like his tight end that he was gonna. Well, Laporta was probably I think he was hurt this last week.
Okay. Yeah, he was out. But Laporta, that's a great tight end. I mean, well, if you look at the stats.
So they put Hill in, and then Hill goes off for 40 points. That's pretty wild. But then still wasn't enough to.
I know. And Deebo Samuel is he just hasn't done much anything consistent this year.
None of the Niners really, have had great seasons.
Javonte or Jameson Williams. It's he's just got guys he can't really depend on. It's just like so hit and miss. And I think that's because he's been playing the waiver wire a ton and trying to mix and match until he lands on some guys and may have just like skipped over it. And now he's just trying to pull a roster together every week. Which obviously there's some very tangible things he can do to improve, you know, the likelihood for winning games. I would say look at your guys that are consistently strong, definitely retain them. But I mean, Mostert, how long can you really depend on that guy? This rookie, maybe there's something I don't know, but obviously like his, 23% share of the, 6 attempts for 16 yards is just not going to get you very far. But Josh, 151 points when his quarterback's only scoring 14 points. And Kyler Murray was on a bye, but Jaden Daniels is typically really good. ETN, that was somebody that everybody thought was going to start kind of popping off. And
it's just the Jaguars, man. That has been a pitiful season. That is wow. I mean, he's still 6 points. Yeah. So I don't know what to do with him, honestly, going forward. Because it's like I just think it's going to get worse. They're probably going to fire the coach, and they might just bench starters eventually or something, because
wow.
I don't know. I mean, they're definitely going to be picking in the top 5, for sure.
This
Next season.
This is great for Josh though. Obviously Montgomery going off. It looks like, you can depend on him for that RB2 spot,
For sure.
flex
Yeah.
spot. Tyreek Hill, long overdue.
It's a pretty good game. Yeah. I mean, he is not having even close to the season he had last year for me, which has been great because I don't have him on my team this year, except for the first week, 26 points.
Last year, yeah, he
I
was
had him
wide
last year,
receiver 1.
Yeah, last year he was the
top,
number 1 scorer or whatever. Yeah.
Worthy, this is shocking to me. I mean, this guy, it's like,
man, look at he's so up and down. Look at that. Yeah,
yeah.
13,
I don't have the stomach for that. I would have.
Yeah,
I would have cut him
for sure. Yeah, Browers, he's gonna be. Yeah, he's the number 1 ranked.
This was incredible.
I mean, yeah,
this has been his strongest pickup. I mean, this is the Travis Kelce of our season,
right? Yeah.
And that's a rookie. So apparently, like all the targets that Devontae Adams should have gotten, I've been going to him, and
dude, he had 16 targets, 126 yards this last. But one thing you might keep an eye on there, whose team is it again? Yeah, Josh. If he makes the playoffs, the Raiders are also terrible. Like, how motivated are they going to be the last couple weeks of the season? When they're like got nothing to play for, basically. And like
this just might be. Minshew's only safe place to throw the ball. It's just like,
yeah, true. That's probably why it's probably over the middle, and it's
just, like this guy just sits in a zone. Yeah,
check down pass or whatever, right? Yeah. So, but that's just something to think about. Najee Harris, yeah, maybe you got to bump him to running back 2, bump Montgomery up to 1, and then bench Etienne or just put him lower on the stack. I would.
At least what Najee Harris is going to do. Like, he's just been consistent low teens.
Yeah,
it's like very dependable.
The Steelers have been winning. He's definitely somebody you want playing. And then when they get into the red zone, he's like their main option besides Pickens. Keenan Allen, and he the Bears have been so disappointing. I kind of wish that we had Trent on the league just so that we could give him crap about how it looked like it was going to be such a promising season for the Bears, but it's just been awful. Like it's.
Yeah, I don't follow the Bears much. I mean, at this point though, just looking at, he had a lot of guys out on bye. Then he's got, injuries. I mean,
yeah,
this is going to be a big.
I think you could drop Godwin at this point. He's probably not coming back. At least
4 weeks.
In terms of like, he might come back if you make the Super Bowl for fantasy. But it's not going to help you get to the playoff.
Let me see when they have him coming back, because he was on IR week 7, which means he's out, minimum of 4 weeks. So that
pretty bad injury, wasn't it? It was like
oh yeah, he's not looking to come back all season. It looks like they don't have him.
Yeah, I would just drop him. I don't know why.
And same with Ayuk.
I don't know why. Yeah, why is he holding on?
He's carrying dead weight on his roster. I mean, obviously one of those must be an IR spot, but I'm looking at it, and he has Pacheco on IR, which Pacheco is coming back potentially week 14. But yeah, so I'm not sure what the play is there. There's a little bit of neglect on Josh's end, or maybe
nobody on his bench scored any points this week except for Schultz. Yeah.
So I'm not super confident about these guys coming to play every week. I think this was a great week. I think this is Jaden Daniels or Kyler Murray are acceptable for sure. Jaden Daniels, I think, has been doing above average job. Well, up until about week 6, and then it gets choppy. But yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill's back. Montgomery, great game. I'm not sure about Worthy. We're not sure about ETN. Bowers, great. Najee Harris, definitely acceptable. Keenan Allen. So yeah, not a bad roster, but no bench.
No bench, and I mean, he scored 150 points, so it's like, but he's with 5 wins, he's got to keep winning. He can't.
Yeah,
if he loses twice, basically, I think that's probably it. If he loses twice at this point. Same with you. If you lose twice, you might probably not make it in either.
We're all in this. Yeah.
So you
Ian,
want, or you
Ian
want to go?
can
You
win.
want to go Phil? Okay. Austin
Yeah, I
Phil.
was gonna say Austin and Phil. This is a really close matchup. Got to be a heartbreaking loss for Austin, but he's got his girlfriend to lift him up apparently. So he might be emotionally detached from this season by his distractions.
That's kind of what I'm feeling like. Yeah, you know, it's like it seems like
but
it's a
every
little
time
different.
I want to give him a hard time, I mean, really, it's I like maybe there's been 1 or 2 weeks this season where he deserved a call out, but otherwise, I think he's been playing pretty
Yeah,
hard.
he still starts his He's been making some adjustments and starts the roster, and you know, yeah. I mean, this week, let's try to figure out what happened this week. Did anybody like really underperform on his team? I guess the tight end Ingram was 4 points under, and then Nico Collins 5 points under the estimate. But it kind of looks like everybody else.
It's not bad. I
The
mean,
kicker, Kareem Hunt, they were both under, but everybody else like hit their number or.
and Kareem Hunt has been
won.
consistently playing good ball. He's been getting a lot of points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really, it's. I think it's just a tough loss. Anytime you're approaching 140 points and you lose, it's just a tough loss.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, Geno Smith. Let's see. I don't know if that's going to be the guy to.
It'll be his last week, I think, because he just dropped Geno. That was in the.
That's right. Yeah.
Waiver wire there, or whatever. So he dropped Geno for Anthony Richardson. I think honestly, Richardson's might get you the same amount of points. You know, like that's what Richardson was doing earlier this year. 15, 20, but who's Austin playing? Who's Austin play the next couple of weeks? Let's look at that really fast just to see.
Okay.
I'll do it here. So he's got
while you're Traco, that's a big.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one. And then he's got Tyler, and then Nick. Okay, yeah. So he's definitely got to win.
If he beats Traco,
he's got to win all three, kind of. I guess to get to 7.
Yeah. So if he gets to 7 wins with his points, he might actually contend for that number 6 spot.
Right. Because he's got the points. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that would be wild.
Me, I guess. Yeah, he would leapfrog me, I guess, if we ended up with the same record.
And if he wins out, it's like, okay, if he beats Traco, that's doable. Tyler's, been having some low scoring seasons. Games this season.
I mean, the tough one's gonna be Traco, probably, right? But he is playing.
But then
Nick is two of the bottom 3 teams. Yeah.
Well, Nick is like deceptive now because he's in the bottom, but like, okay, I'm 6 points off the top scorer of the league, and Nick's projected to beat me next week. Like that's Nick's roster this year, or from here moving forward. So that's not a look ahead week anymore. That's like, you better show up. And so, yeah, I mean, looking at Austin, it's like he's got Jamar Chase, I mean, all of his guys are actually fairly consistent producers. I would say Nico Collins should, I mean, if I was looking at it, I would have similar opinion. I don't know if they were kind of just like warming him back in with only 50% of the snaps, but he still got 7 targets.
Right. He looks like he was injured or something in the weeks leading up to that game. So maybe he was. I mean,
he was big. He was scoring big. He was getting big points the first 5 games of the season. I mean, like there's 27 points, 33 points, 17, 15.
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah. So I mean, he's definitely a good flex option. This Ladd McConkey, man, his last 4 games have been fire. He had 29 points a couple weeks ago, then 11, then 18. Yeah, so he's been solid.
Yeah, so
he's a spot receiver.
So if things go right for Austin, he certainly has the ability to win out, I think. And I mean, he's doing 138 with, guys. I don't know. I think he's actually in a pretty decent spot. It just kind of depends on Richardson at that point. But most of the guys, I mean, his wide receiver 1 and 2, great. His running backs, A-Chain, first class.
Yeah, I mean, look at the points. The points are good. Yeah.
And McConkey looks great. So it's like, really, And kickers are up and down. His defense did all right.
Well,
And
so Tucker's been there's been like that's been a storyline too. Justin Tucker's been like struggling. Look at
oh
like
wow.
his stats. So he missed.
Oh yeah, this is like hurting the last couple games here.
Let's see,
But
where is it? Yeah, May. Yeah, so he's missed some recently. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, not losing confidence in Justin Tucker. Yeah, we'll see. But
yeah,
um, so yeah, honestly, I dropped my kicker because my kicker the last 2 weeks hadn't really done squat, and I'm like, dude, these guys that are on the waiver wire are getting like 8, 9 points.
I know.
I'm not just gonna sit around and be patient, for you to turn it around or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
it's getting to that point. It's like we all are fighting for our lives on the next 3 games, and we almost can't even really give advice anymore because this is like
Yeah, maybe this is cut the podcast off.
yeah. Okay, so looking at Philip,
All right. Yeah, let's go to Phil.
Burrow has actually been doing exceptional last 3 games, and I don't know, is that a recent change for Phil
Yeah.
at QB? Because
I was
he's
wondering, yeah, I was kind of curious. Like, did he start Burrow every week, or maybe he bailed off of him for a little bit? He's got Herbert as the backup on his bench, but the Herbert was on my roster, so I don't think Phil has had him for that long.
so did
Uh,
Phil just start Burrow just for that game? If he did, um,
man, Burrow's
so
been
he's
lights
had
out.
him since he
36
drafted
every
him. So he's been carrying Burrow,
right. Yeah, he
and
drafted. Right, I remember that.
I
Uh,
mean, yeah, it's after a couple 30-point games, you're like, okay, maybe I got to start him.
yeah, I don't, yeah, maybe he did bench him there for a minute when they were losing because there was kind of a down streak there for
But
a little bit. But
he's not starting him the following week, but Burrow's also on a bye.
yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
and
so
then with the Bengals, it'll be interesting though because so if they lose again, I can't remember what happened this week. Did they win? I think they won actually. No, but
they
it's kind of looking like where if they lost again and they were
they
three,
lost.
if they were three, they lost. Oh, okay. Well, I was just gonna say, like, if they get to the point where their season's over with 2, 3 games left, like they might just bench the starters or something. Because like that's a team that kind of underperformed, but like definitely still thinks they could contend next year,
The
And
only problem is
there
if
would
you're
be
the
no
head coach,
motivation if like they're
if you're the head coach with that roster and you can't afford to lose games or you might lose your job, right? I mean, that's what I would
it's the
think.
Bengals though. Like they're notorious for being like the cheap organization that they
Well,
just they hire cheap. Every coach they've ever hired has been like the bottom of the salary range, for the NFL. Every like,
yeah.
offensive coordinator they've hired has been like the bottom of the salary range. Their facilities are 30 years old or whatever, that's so I don't
Yeah.
know. I honestly wouldn't be that threatened if I was
But
the
as far as
coach.
their roster goes, I mean, they don't really have too many excuses for not doing
They're
well.
4-7. So like if they lose again, they might just throw in the towel or whatever, right? And
But
it's
they've
like and
got
how,
Chase, Higgins, I mean, Jamar Chase,
but the
Higgins,
AFC is pretty loaded.
and
I mean, you're
Chase.
going to be
Yeah.
way behind the 8 ball,
Yeah.
with 4 or 5 weeks left, and you have to pretty much win out at that point. Like the 7 seed right now in the AFC is Denver, and they're 6-5. So this you
Yeah.
got some ground to make up there.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's just
but yeah, so I'm
basically
just saying, yeah,
no
keep an
shot.
eye. Burrow might, he might falter down the as time goes on. But anyways, let's keep going. So we got Gibbs had a good game.
And Jamar Gibbs has had a
What's
good
oh,
season. Like
Garrett
he's
Wilson?
been a dependable guy. Kamara, I remember he was just killing it, and he still is. Like that's
Yeah.
I would be perfectly
The Saints have
comfortable.
been so up and down, this year. I mean, Derek Carr got hurt, but there was a few games where the Saints players it looked like it was great. Like you wanted to get as many Saints players as you could on your fantasy team, but now it's
Yeah.
not really the case. Yeah. Same
This
thing.
would
Yeah.
be my big this would
Yeah.
be my big question mark is Garrett Wilson because it's
Look at
you
the
know
last 2 weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's trending. I mean, he's obviously in a bye. I'm curious who he's starting in place of him. It looks like
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
Devonta Smith,
Oh,
which
yeah.
which I don't know.
He's got a
That
lot
guy's
of wide
really
receivers.
sporadic.
He's got
I know.
Waddle and yeah,
But
Jerron
Puka
Reed.
Nakua, I mean, geez, dude, that's like such
Yeah.
a nice contributor to have late in the season.
Gosh, man. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, he's good. He's great.
Hawkinson, so he's been playing hot potato with his tight ends, just like I
Mhm.
have. He actually dropped what's his name from the Ravens that I had, Mark Andrews. And
Oh,
it
he
looks
did?
like,
Okay.
yeah, because now they're going back to committee. I think the next several games, it's tough matchups for tight ends. So he's trying to figure that out.
It does seem like tight ends overall this week were kind of low.
Yeah.
No, other than Taysom Hill or whatever, but
So Chase
um,
Brown, great performance. I mean, he
yeah.
seems to be doing pretty consistent. I mean, it's a great flex spot. And then Devonta Smith, it's a flex play that is just like feast or famine.
The Eagles, as far as like having a receiver and starting a receiver, it's very hit and miss, because like, Hurts runs a lot, and um if they can get a lead, they'll just like kind of coast, right? They won't like really
Yeah.
push. And they're totally fine winning the game like that, 26-18 or whatever, right? So I think, yeah, and it's starting to get colder. I could see them not throwing the ball as much. So having like Smith and AJ Brown, they might not have the greatest, end of the season potentially.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking of it in that perspective. Typically, when teams go up, that's when I feel like that's what I'm like, great. Now my running back's going to get more touches, and
Right. Yeah. Run the ball.
they're
Right.
not going
Yeah.
to risk
Yeah.
throwing the ball in the red zone. They're going to try to punch it in, and
Right. Well, in the red
um,
zone, they run with Jalen Hurts pretty much, right?
that's
They
true. The
don't,
tush
they don't
push,
throw it.
and yeah, you're
Yeah,
not. Um,
they're not doing a back corner fade. They're just slamming it right up the gut. Yeah. Um,
so I mean, Phil
12
Phil
points from
is
the
looking
kicker.
strong. I mean, Phil's
Yeah.
looking
No, I
strong.
think Phil's looking good. Yeah,
I don't
you
know about
definitely
this
expect him
bench.
to. For him to get a first round bye, would probably have to, win out, or win 2 out of the 3 and get some help. But yeah, he's looking
Oh,
good
so you
position. Definitely
think?
going to be
Yeah, I mean, technically, he's fighting for that spot. So
right. That second spot. Yeah. So he would.
if he wins
Is there
two or
any
three,
Is there a head-to-head matchup? Is there a Phil versus Ian or Kevin in the next few weeks?
oh,
Um,
that's a good question. So let's see who Phil's playing next week. I
okay,
think
he's got
I
Josh
okay, he's got Josh, and then you
and
said
me, and then he's got me. Okay, and then he's got
then he's got you, and then
you, and then he's got you, Darren,
who's
at the
Ian
very end.
playing? Oh, then Ian's playing Traco, which is not a
Yeah,
walk in the park, and then it's me and Phil. So that
Ooh, dude, that's gonna. You guys might be like, that might be that's gonna be interesting. The
game
last,
of the week.
you guys, yeah, it could be, yeah, game of the week. Probably winner gets in. At that point,
Well,
maybe,
I
I don't
think
know.
I think Phil's in a good
So
spot
yeah,
with
Phil
6
might be
wins.
already in at that point, but it just depends what happens over the next 2 weeks.
No, I mean, that's tough for you though. I mean, you've got a tough schedule, it looks like.
I
And
know,
with
yeah.
that said, we can jump into your game, which, dude, you beat Kevin with 121 points. It's just like
Yeah, I know. My confidence is faltering a little bit in the team. It's I'll have a good week and then a bad week. It doesn't seem like it's super consistent.
what's up
Um,
with this? Jeez, one
oh
target.
yeah, yeah, I know.
That
Got
must have
nothing
been
from that guy.
frustrating.
Right. Well, I thought I was gonna lose. I mean, I was losing this game going into the Monday night game, and I was confident I was gonna get some points from Tank Dell, but you never know. He could have also gotten like, one target and no receptions or something like that, right? He ended up luckily. What did he get? Did he score a touchdown? No, he had 50 yards or whatever, right? Got me 9 points,
Yeah.
but yeah, that barely just pushed me over the edge there on just the Monday night game. My team's gonna look different next week. I subbed out. I picked up a new tight end, new kicker, new defense, new quarterback actually as well because Josh Allen's on bye. So I got a Jared Goff starting in there for this
Oh,
week.
wow. Yeah.
I think I benched Kyron Williams as well because I think so he had 8 points, and if you look at the last 2 weeks before that, he had 11 and then 10. So he's kind of been like on the decline a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's like a flex position, depending on how strong
Yeah.
your flex guys are.
So I've got him, benched at the moment. Maybe I'll make an adjustment, but I'm thinking about maybe getting rid of Tony Pollard just because Tennessee's offense is just awful and the team is going nowhere. Like they literally, they're playing for nothing at this point.
Yeah,
So
4 points.
thinking
If
about
I see like 2 consecutive games in the like single like
single,
sub
yeah,
7
then it's
range.
You're
Yeah.
out.
Run laps.
Yeah, you run laps.
But no, he's been doing. I mean, that's a safe flex start for the most part, right? I mean,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
when he was in the teens, yeah, but now
yeah.
he just hasn't, because it seems like what's happening with Tennessee is they're getting behind early and then they're not running the ball or whatever, right? So, um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think I'll get the team back on track though, but I'm not, I'm not.
What about
I think
Addison? I
I'll
know
have to
that
go on a
was
run here, to
yeah.
like win it all. Definitely would have to like go on a run here, but I still feel confident I can make the playoffs and
If
maybe
you
get
can make
third
playoffs,
place or something, second, third place maybe, but
let me tell you this: if you make playoffs, it's anybody's game.
yeah,
Kevin is the only one, like with the bye, that spares you. You only have to hit twice,
yeah,
but really, it's like it's so up and down in this league that literally the worst team could beat the best team, and it's just another weekend in the league.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
been
true.
that type of year, and it nothing would be no matchup would shock us at this point, right?
True. Yeah, yeah,
You know, the true
yeah.
underdog. There is no true underdog. I mean, even the underdogs are, projecting like
Still in it
points in the top
somehow.
top quartile.
Right.
But so Kevin, let's take a hard look at the number one seed, 8-3, 115 points. Like
Yeah.
the
It was,
odds
yeah,
have
pretty
just
a down week for him. I mean, man, so looks like I don't know what happened with George Kittle, if it was like a game time decision that they decided not to play him or something like
oh,
that, because he was
so wait, so he wasn't even in the game. So
right.
Kevin's got to
Maybe
be
he was
kicking
listed as
himself.
questionable. Yeah, he might have been. Yeah, so he might have been listed as questionable, and then he thought, he was going to start, or maybe the last time he looked, it said he was going to start, and then he
And
just
he had a
he
backup
did
tight
in
end
the end.
who,
Yeah,
I mean,
did nothing
Conklin,
or
what a
whatever.
waste of
Yeah.
space. What, like, okay, now we know Kevin's not paying attention. I mean, who's maintaining Conklin on the roster after 3 weeks of that?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you're not doing so he's just like, oh, I'm clinched in playoffs, I guess, or maybe things have picked up on that Rams, getting close to playoffs, and
Yeah.
he's just
Right. Right.
diverted
Well,
focus.
they're still making a playoff push, right? They're not out of it or anything like
Yeah.
that, right? But
But
um,
Cup carrying the team 28 points. I mean, his
yeah.
usual self.
Man, if you really
Um,
look at it, I mean, I could have lost so many different ways. Like if the tight end, if the Gasecki would have scored some
I
points, or
know.
if he would have like if he would have just picked somebody off the waiver wire and
Well,
started
it's
him for
like
Kittle or whatever, right? And then if you look at Hurts and
Gasecki.
Derrick Henry, like they kind of had shitty games. Like Henry lost a fumble. If he didn't lose that fumble,
Okay, this
maybe
is not how you
maybe he
win.
wins.
This is not how you win the championship in this league. I mean, for one, you started somebody who was out when you had a backup. For two, you're
Yeah,
carrying dead weight. Why even have Conklin on the roster? For
right.
three, Gasecki? Really? Like this guy,
Yeah, that's
this guy.
is he oh I guess he's the number one tight end there, but still
I mean,
he's not,
well, in fairness,
dude, he's
we
had
saw
one
a couple
2 point
good
game,
games.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Well, one. I see one good game on here, really, maybe two.
the 12 and the 27. But yeah,
Yeah.
that is just not enough of a trend line. He must be seeing, reading the wind or something, and it's just not quite working out. So this actually, for me, is a good sign because, if you're in his
Yeah,
bracket, he's showing blood here. It's
yeah,
like
he's showing some. Yeah, it seems beatable at this point, right? Yeah, yeah.
because
His team kind of underperformed, and
you
I mean, if
know
you would have started Tua over Hurts, that would have also beat me. It looks
because
like.
if you hang in anybody who's in this bracket and wins and it's going up against Kevin, it's like it's not a done deal. It's like that's
Yeah.
it's and
Well, yeah,
the
you
reason
look at
why I'm
his
saying
total points scored, right? It's
yeah,
right in the middle of the pack or whatever, right? Yeah.
and the only reason I'm kind of getting on him hard is because the later in the season it goes, it's harder to grab that player. That's right now we're fighting for guys that are like 8 to 10 point guys. It's not like these top producing people. So very interesting game. You got the dub. I mean, he's kind of clinched his spot in playoffs. He
Yeah.
probably should be fighting really hard to keep that bye because he hasn't been scoring a bunch of points. And
Right.
you know, so you want
Yeah.
to mitigate that potential loss there. Okay, who else?
I think it's just you now left, right?
yeah.
You and Tyler. Yeah.
Okay. Traco, yeah. So Lone Star, me versus Traco. I
Oh,
mean,
okay, I'm on the wrong week. My bad. Okay, you and Trey. Yeah, you and
I
Traco. Okay.
mean, a lot of things went right for me this week. If you start scrolling
Man,
down, and you know, Lamar Jackson has had his first mediocre game all season.
you got your Mahomes on the bench though. I don't know. You got Mahomes and Lamar. Damn, that's like
I only picked in which Mahomes is just such mediocre this year, but
yeah.
because he was drafted in the first round, I just like really wanted him on my roster because I was just like, this should be a really great pickup. Maybe something will
Yeah,
snap into play.
and he was just sitting there on the
Yeah.
waiver.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tyler dropped him. That was his first overall pick. But
yeah,
yes,
no, Lamar's normally been doing 30 or 25. It looks like 25 to 30, and then yeah, that's the lowest score he's had all year actually.
yeah, and I don't know that there's anything like who scored 178 points. That's like the second highest score of the entire season.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We definitely there has only been a few times people been up that high.
So I don't know that. I mean, Chubb, I got him. I had him on my IR like this entire time, hoping he would do something.
That's
Not
right.
the
Well, and
case.
then as you were hoping that they would do something, Cleveland's they just got worse and worse. You know, like
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson got hurt, and then Jameis Winston hasn't been much better,
Yeah.
and then they've been behind in every game pretty much, so they're not going to be like running the ball a bunch.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a tough start. Maybe just
no, I think
forward.
I actually dropped him because it was just like, you know, I just can't. I just don't see the upside.
No patience.
The ceiling is too low.
Yeah,
And
we're running out of time here.
Yeah. But Jacoby Myers, you know,
Yeah.
he's been doing fairly well since Devontae Adams got traded to the Jets. So
Right.
8 points.
Yeah,
I'll suffer 8 points if I can get these kind of high teen scores. I don't know if he's going to continue on, but I hope he does. And then Moody was out. He was injured. He came back 9 points. So I think Moody, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, I'm not one to just really swap kickers and defenses out. I try to grab, you know, some good solid ones and hope they do well, which I don't know. Niners maybe have been
well,
hurting me.
yeah, you know, being a little bit of a homer there, you know, going
I know,
pecking the Niners up, and you're sticking with them even though they're in last place at the moment, right? You know, and then look at you, you're outside the playoff bracket there, Darren. So I don't know, maybe you should be a little bit less loyal.
Yeah, yeah, and then London. I mean, I love this guy because I wasn't expecting him to do that great. I mean, to the level he was. He's starting to trend down, so I've got to pay attention to that. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. He's on.
Well, I think they've lost the last 2 weeks. The Falcons have.
Okay.
So that could be it too.
Yeah, they got smoked by Denver. I mean, that's Bo
Mhm.
Nix, I guess, going off.
I know, rookie quarterback beating the veteran quarterback there.
Yeah, so I'm juggling like Brian Robinson. I wish I started him. He was coming off an injury, but he's been really good to me. But yeah, so I feel good about my guys. They're projecting really high. Ferguson, I dumped after, you know, like it's just
Connor's good.
Cooper Rush is not.
Who's this Jonathan Brooks?
And I guess he got concussed. I didn't even realize that. So I had dumped him just because I thought, you know, Cooper Rush just couldn't get him the freaking ball, but actually he was concussed. So
who's this Jonathan Brooks? He hasn't like had a snap all season.
So I've been kind of keeping an eye on him. I just picked him up. He was, you know, a rookie, and there's a little bit of hype going on about him. So I don't expect him to be like a high teens, but you know, there's an off chance that he's, you know, kind of low mids, and figured I'd take a risk on him. You know, may give Dave Canales a call and check in and see, you know, how that's projecting. But
you're probably pulling some strings. I think about it. Yeah.
But
Okay. Well, that's like dark web right there. A guy that like literally no one's heard of that has not played a snap all season. You're like, he's on your roster. I'm like, what the hell?
I had just picked him up because he was just announced to play this coming week. Sometimes, those gambles work out, and
Carolina's kind of been trending upward, I think. I think they won their 2 games before the bye week, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've won 2 in a row or something, so they're kind of on the up and up a little bit. They're not playing to make the playoffs, but they're definitely playing to like keep their jobs and and have good feeling going into next season or whatever, right? So
but here, let's take a look at Treco.
I mean, Treco, yeah. So how did he score so many points here? So like, I guess Stafford was well over his target, but then the next 2 people were below. Both running backs were kind of below the target.
Yeah, pretty mediocre. I mean, Downs was
good game. Above, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that was 20 points above the target there.
Yeah, so he had 11 targets and 11 catches. I mean, this guy is a machine. 2 TDs, 160 yards.
Okay, I do remember this guy. Yeah. Okay.
So he's got Downs going for 20, St. Brown going for nearly 40, and then, I mean, Jonnu Smith comes out of the woodwork. I mean, it's like tight end who has been asleep, most of the season. Just kind of hanging in there. Yeah, and just has a game of his life. Facing me. So that's like,
that's like the same thing. Yeah, bro. So Amon-Ra goes off on you, and then this jump. What was his best high the rest of the year?
I know.
He had a 22-point game. He had a 22-point game, I guess. So it's not like super.
Yeah, it's like
but the rest of them are all single digits pretty much. So yeah, so you're getting screwed again there by another
Higgins
career performance.
Yeah. Higgins' first game back from injury just pops off.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Freaking feed him the game. Took like 100% of the targets that week or something.
And then this receiver from the Commanders, nothing.
I'm actually curious. So if he's taking 13 targets, how many targets is Ja'Marr Chase getting this game? So Ja'Marr Chase 13 targets too. They're just airborne. He had 26 points. Wow. And Higgins had 30 points.
Dang.
I mean, dude, no wonder what's his name went off.
That was a good game. That was a lot of offense in that game, and they lost it, I think, at the last minute.
And then we've got Noah Brown. So he puts up 178 points with a guy on his roster that does 1 point game. Like,
I never even heard of that guy before. Is he like 4th on the depth chart or something? Or what? Yeah, he's second. Second, I guess. Okay.
So okay.
Second on the depth chart.
Maybe Treco, he likes to, read the wind and, looking at Philly, and somehow got his info wrong. Hopefully he didn't lose any money on that one. But
I mean, this guy should be getting some targets because it's Terry McLaurin, and then he's the second receiver there or whatever. But he hasn't really scored that. He's only had looks like he's only had maybe 300 yards the whole season or something like that. Yardage.
So Treco pops off, shows super high ceiling for what his guys can do. I think Downs, St. Brown, Higgins.
He's going with the Eagle backfield there with the kicker and the defense from the Eagles. That's interesting. So he's got Stroud as his backup. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I Treco, he's made a run. I want to look at his record, kind of where he's trending, because I feel like he's had like a run kind of later half of the season as far as like his performance goes. So if we look at his schedule, he goes 2 losses, 2 wins, 1 loss. Then he gets 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 win. So
it's kind of been really up and down. Yeah,
just like an even game. And when he's lost a couple games at 125 points, but then he's lost a couple games at 96 and 108 the last 2. Dang. So he went from week 9 96, week 10 109, week 11 178. Like, give me a break. How could you depend? I mean,
that's crazy. 178. Yeah. That definitely wasn't expected. He kind of came out of the woodwork there. Yeah. And then it looks like he's got a Austin, and then Ian, and then last game Kevin. That's gonna be interesting. Kevin and Draco, the two chaplains going up week 14 there, last game of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
Kevin might not need the win at that time, but Draco probably will. So that'll be interesting.
This honestly is really, it's just anybody's, outside of Kevin probably clinching playoffs and Nick clinching, the Lost Bowl or whatever, the toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl, yeah.
But outside of those kind of outliers, which they're not even really outliers to that big of a degree, they just happen to be on the, the other ends. But
right.
Literally positions 2 through 9 are technically, I don't know. Ian's got a really good shot at making playoffs, but if he lost out,
yeah. If he lost out, he'd be 7-7. Would probably be at that 6th seed, or around there.
Yeah,
right
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Ian's got a pretty fair shot at sitting pretty where he's at, especially because his points are high. So
right.
if he finishes with 7 wins, he probably still sits at the 6th spot because of his points, unless he just bombs it. But yeah, I mean, if you have 5 or 6 wins, you're battling. And Austin, he does have a path. It's not a guaranteed
he's got a path. But it starts with this week. If he loses this week, it's probably over. So we'll see in the next pod, where he's at. But
and so looking at that matchup, Draco.
Yeah,
low hundreds, high hundreds. Austin's very consistent, I think. Well, I don't know if I can say that, but I feel like he's been consistently scoring a decent amount of points. So let's just call these matchups. Yeah. Let's start from the bottom up. So
okay.
And we don't even have to really dig into this much, but we know enough about these guys at this point. We can kind of just spot check it from the air.
Yeah. So let's start with the Torpedoes and Cooper Street. So Josh will need the win more, right? Not that you're actually playing this game on the field and like your effort and energy determines the win or anything, but Josh definitely needs it more. A loss puts him definitely kind of on the outside looking in, where he has to win the next 2 games or whatever, right? And then, whereas if Phil loses, he still has still has a path, to get into the playoffs. He probably just needs to win one of the next 2 or the next 3, to get in for Phil. So I think that would probably pick Josh, based on those reasons. But let's see. I think, and then Josh this week, how many points did he score again? So he scored.
Actually, maybe we will win.
Yeah, he scored 150. He scored 150 this week. So yeah, I think Josh is going to keep rolling, and I'd probably pick Josh in that matchup. Not really for any particular reason, but
I feel like Philip has consistently been a high scorer.
Yeah,
he's got guys that can do well. I'm not exactly.
Burrow's on bye this week. Camaro's on bye. Garrett Wilson's on bye. So he's kind of got a different team than he had last week. It's like Herbert starting.
Oh, wow. A lot of guys on.
And Herbert's playing the Ravens.
Chase and Kamara and Burrow. Oh shoot.
Yeah.
And Garrett Wilson. Okay.
And he's gonna have to start
totally
Will
different.
Disley, it looks like, who hasn't really been
who?
Doing that much. Yeah, exactly. He's got Jaron Reed. He's going to start Jaron Reed too from the Packers, who's like probably the 3rd option.
Actually changes a lot. So this kind of, I don't like Worthy. I don't like him, but it's just I don't feel good about his consistency.
Yeah.
And then Tracy, I'm not sure.
I don't know who is that. He should put Najee Harris in that spot.
But so I was gonna just like hands down give it to Phil, not any disrespect to Josh, because Josh, he has a solid team, but Philip, I just think fills all the spots better. But with this current stack out and good, he benched Etienne, he's on bye.
Oh, yeah, just like we're talking about, yeah.
But shoot, this I don't like here, but Bauer's great. Tyreek Hill, we hope that he does what he ought to. Jaden Daniels. This is a real toss-up. Shoot, I'll go Josh on this week.
Yeah.
I'll go Josh on this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good. Oh, let's go. Let's go to who would be
It's
next one?
Austin versus
Okay.
Traco, which is
Yeah,
another. These are all just like really good matchups.
man. I think at this time, so I'm looking at Austin's team. So Marvin Harrison is back. He was on bye last week. But dude, this Dwaddle guy from Dallas, like he's gonna get you nothing. Dallas is awful. Like they
I know.
Prescott's out, so Cooper Rush is starting. This last week, dude, they could
And
not
Ezekiel
move the
Elliott.
ball at all or whatever, right? Well, how
I,
many points did he
I
have this week? But
the
3,
thinking
5?
on that is probably like, okay, they can't go airborne, so they must be giving it to the backfield. The only problem with that thinking is if everyone's not going airborne, they're stacking the blocks a
Back
little
in the
more.
box, and then what happens if you score 3 points and like, or I don't know. So I wouldn't expect many things there. Nico Collins kind of had a down week. Zach Ertz hasn't. Well, actually, he's actually had some good games. Never mind, I take that back. So he's fine. Um, Justin Tucker. Okay, and then on Traco's side, it's pretty much the same team. It looks like.
Yeah.
Um, I probably would go with Traco based on his track record, and he's favored at this point, 125 points to 118. So yeah,
Yeah.
I probably would. And I think
Oh,
Austin's team just worries me. It's not a lot of like consistent
yeah.
performer or
Higgins is
winning
on
teams.
bye. Higgins is on bye, and he can't count on a QB to go off. So here's what I think for Austin. Let me see this. If Richardson, this is sketchy, like just so up and down, and Dowdle.
Yeah.
It really, I would love to give
He's
this
got
game to.
Odunze in there
I
too, which is
know.
like very hot and cold.
I would love to give this game to Austin, but with these kind of like sketchy guys, because right now, Traco being so up and down, and he's got all these like, I mean, I don't know. He's rocking a more consistent team than Austin, so I might have to give it to Traco.
And it shows in the record. Yeah.
But if Austin had those spots filled by others, like, his RB2 was different and his QB was a little more consistent, I think it would be Austin's games to lose. But then you've thrown in Dunze, and so yeah, I'll go Traco on this one.
Okay.
All right, underdogs versus Kev. So Nick versus Kevin.
So I see right away, like Devontae Adams is on bye. He benched Ridley. I don't know. Are they listening to us live or something? I don't know what's going on. It's like,
oh wow,
it's like I say it and then it just happens. So he benched Ridley, benched Hopkins too. So
Adams is
kind of a
on
different
bye.
team. Yeah, kind of a different. So he put Stevenson in, right?
And he
probably
benched
should have done it this
Lockett.
week. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But honestly, I think I'm gonna go Nick this week, just because. So last time when I picked Nick on the last time I was on the pod, or last time I picked him or whatever, right? I was correct, and he appreciated that. And Kevin, Kevin lost.
He's keeping receipts.
Week, keeping
receipts.
Kevin lost this last week, had kind of an underwhelming performance. And didn't start a tight end. It seems like he's slipping a little bit, and
is he missing a guy? 108? Is he missing a roster spot?
Yeah, he's got the flex. Gasecki is
two
on. And the kicker and the defense. So yeah, nobody's saying anything to him.
I know. No, I am not. I don't meddle. Like, hey, obviously it's on the pod. You watch the pod. That's part of your research. Good on you. But yeah, I mean, dude, you want to tank your like bye week, by all means. It's better for everyone else.
Yeah, dang.
I'm sure that he'll log in though.
I'm sure he'll log in by Saturday and flex some people in or whatever. But yeah,
but like
I feel like Nick's probably got 1, maybe 2 more wins in him this season, right? And
yeah,
I think this will probably one of them.
I think Kevin,
even though it's unlikely, it's last place versus first place.
No, I think right now, Judy is like kind of a toss up, but he's been doing pretty like fairly consistent since Amari Cooper went to, what was it, the Giants? Where did it? Or yeah. Amari Cooper used to be the number 1 over at the Browns. Judy has actually been performing now. And then he's got Pickens, Kelsey. I mean, I'm giving it to Nick for
Yeah,
the simple reason
it's a
that I
good team.
think Kevin fell asleep at the wheel, that Kevin has been consistently scoring in like, kind of lower hundreds, like the teens in the 100 region.
Yeah. Man, he's been
And
starting the Jets defense. How's he been winning with that? With
obviously
that
it's like
defense?
Derrick Henry has the ability to go off. Hurts is pretty good. Cup could easily throw up 30 points. AJ Brown
Yeah,
could throw up 30
true.
points. Kittle. I mean, okay, Kevin still has an amazing team, but
But whoever he plays for the defense and the kicker this week are going to have to be off the waiver wire probably
I
because
know.
he doesn't have any
I'm
backups
going
on his.
I'm going Nick, but Kevin, it's like if his guys want to play and they show out, it's like, so yeah, this makes me feel better about Nick because AJ Brown isn't, been doing his like 20-point games. So I don't know what that looks like versus the Rams, but yeah, so if
Okay.
AJ Brown's not doing it and they're kind of handcuffed with Hurts, so Hurts,
Yeah.
if they both play down, then now you're looking at Nick getting a dub. So every time I've chosen Nick on the pod, he's won.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
So
3
I'm calling
times.
underdogs. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, 3
So
times, yeah. All right. Okay, and then me, I guess me and Ian, yeah, this I don't know what to say in this one. I don't know. It's hard to pick myself or whatever, right? But
Ian's been on a
I'm definitely
roll.
nervous about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not projected to win. So I've got some new starters in here. I've got Bucky
Dude,
Irving.
this
I've got a
stings, by
new
the way.
defense, new kicker.
Johnny, get
What?
this. I drafted Chuba Hubbard for my
Yeah, right.
16th round
Dude, look
pick.
at those last 2 weeks, man.
I know.
Oh.
I drafted him on my 16th round pick. And when he came out and scored 1 point, I was like, screw this, and like dumped him.
You gotta be more patient there, and
I know.
you're not.
And then from then on out,
You're not
I
the
mean,
commitment type, I guess. Just a little more of a speed dater.
Yeah, he's putting up, RB1 numbers. I mean,
Yeah, no,
geez.
he's well, and then the season's kind of turned around for Carolina at least the last couple weeks, but damn. So yeah, I mean my team's kind of been floundering a little bit. 115, 130 points. It's not really been
I know
pushing it over the edge.
you're different. You've changed.
I know. So this is a new tight end I picked up from Panthers. He's had a couple good weeks. Panthers are kind of on a little bit of a hot streak, so trying to catch some
Yikes,
lightning
dude.
in the bottle there. But yeah,
that's like,
but I got
rough
a
spot.
new kicker and a new defense, and then yeah, you look at Ian's team. I mean, Baker's playing the Giants.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
Josh Allen's on bye. Yeah, exactly. I mean, none of Ian's like role players outside of Barkley. None of his role players are really like big needle movers. Like it's not like
it's kind of hit and miss.
A Tyreek Hill or
yeah,
like the Brock Bowers or whatever, right? Where they're like, he doesn't have like a number one scorer. Njoku, Flowers, Smith and Jigma,
Ian's trying a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah,
because I feel like I don't remember him with Njoku. And then
you still got Evans on the bench, I guess. Yeah,
Tillman. What's up with this? That's like
who's Till? I've never heard of
the
this
third on the Browns, but shoot,
dang,
I mean,
28-point game 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I think Ian's trying some crap that's either gonna like blow it back in his face when he has. Well, he just has so many people.
Yeah, well, I mean that's good. I mean, I honestly I've been kind of sticking with my guys. I haven't really been as creative and like hitting the waiver wire like as hard as I should, but maybe and so maybe they'll pay off for Ian, but I don't know how to pick it. So why don't you just pick?
Dude, his running backs are stacked. I mean, he's got Bijan Robinson who's on bye.
Yeah, Barkley, Hubbard,
plus Hubbard.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at this. I mean, I would say you guys are fairly even. Mayfield has always produced more, but the last couple of weeks not so much. It's weird.
Well, he's playing the Giants too, so it's they suck. So maybe
I mean, so I think Barkley outproduces Jacobs. Hubbard outproduces Irving. Obviously, that hurts right there, Johnny. The projected 9 points. And Jigba,
he's the number one option, though. I don't know. He's
Jefferson. Jefferson could pop off. I mean, that's a pop off guy who.
Yeah, he hasn't had a touchdown He hasn't had a touchdown since week 7.
I think this is where you lose it, bro, in your running backs. That's just like tough. Like Metcalf, we can't really expect. And Jigba.
So I do have Kyron Williams, but his last 3 games he's had less than 12 points.
I think your running backs are gonna hurt, and your tight end obviously, and that, like, I don't know. Neighbors, he was popping off earlier.
No, Daniel Jones only has like 5 touchdowns on this season or something like that. You know,
but then you've got Tank Dell, who, okay, so he's still, anything can happen here, but I think Ian takes this game.
Fair enough.
But you need this win. I mean,
I do, yeah. But
so if you get 7 wins and Ian has 7 wins, and then all the other 6-win guys, I mean, dude, this is just crazy. Like, this is going to be a crazy.
Yeah, meeting him would make it interesting because then Ian would fall back, and
I know.
That would we would have the same record. We both be 7-5, I guess, if I beat him this week. So that's it'll be that. That's definitely an important matchup for playoff implications. But
all right, let's go to all right, so me versus Tyler, which Tyler watching this is just like gritting his teeth probably because he just never gets credit.
I'm never watching this podcast again.
But I mean, last time it was like supposed to be a clear victory for me. Jauan Jennings puts up like 40 something points. I think my roster versus his roster, I think it's like, most people would say,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna win that matchup.
Yeah, you're favored by 15 points at this
point.
But
I'm biased. So walk me through how you would think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. He's got a lot of people on like the same. Let's see. So he's got 2 people on the Bucks, 2 people on the Niners.
Jauan Jennings does
not so it's kind of, so if both of those teams lose or something like that, then like, your points probably aren't going to be very good. But if both of those teams, have big blowout wins, then maybe, your players really play well. Debo. So in terms of like the matchups, like, he's got some of the players that his teams are playing are some of the worst teams, like the Raiders, the Giants, the Cowboys, are 3 of the worst teams, right? So his team's playing, are going to be playing those teams this week, so that bodes well in his direction. But then, on your end, I mean, like everybody's solid. Even CeeDee Lamb, even with Dak out, has been performing pretty well.
I've got Breece Hall out, and I've got Drake London out.
Yeah,
who have been kind of,
but you're still
consistent guys
on almost like every matchup. Your projections higher, pretty much, except for maybe the Terry McLaurin.
I would say this could go Jauan Jennings' way, because Jauan Jennings been outperforming his projections, and then Jacoby,
right? Raiders,
he could go either way. And then
tight ends are the same. Flex is the same, pretty much.
James Conner, I think outdoes.
You got to pick you, I think, because at the very top, right, it says, and it looks like Tyler set his lineup for the most part. It looks like this is the lineup he's going to go with. Mostert's already benched and whatnot. So I probably got to pick you just because projections already.
And I hope it's me, because I mean, shoot, we both need it. We're both 5.
Yeah, well, this is another really interesting one. Yeah, it's like, the winner of this one's going to have a clear path to the playoffs, getting in, and then the losers is, going to be on the outside looking in, right? Going to have to probably win out. The next game.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really critical game, especially for Tyler, because his points total is on the lower scale. So if he's tied with other people, then he could be tied with 3 people for the 6th spot record wise.
He gets the 7th seed or whatever, right? Yeah, and then he misses out. Yeah, interesting.
Oh my!
And I think Tyler lost out last season, if I remember correctly. He didn't make playoffs, I think.
Oh,
should have taken a screenshot of that.
We should have looked at that. But
he could tell us. But
this is getting critical. I think it's in a really good spot.
I mean, really, the only game that's kind of irrelevant this week is Kevin versus Nick, sort of, right? Because it's kind of whoever wins loses that one. Doesn't really impact the standings much,
Yep. But it does when you talk about bye weeks.
Yeah, bye weeks. Yeah.
When you talk about bye weeks, then that starts.
I mean,
I
think Kevin's probably, even if he loses the next 2 games, he's probably, as long as he wins one of the next 3, he's going to have a bye.
Yeah, if he gets, if he gets to 9, he gets
that game's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah,
but all the other 4 are definitely like, crucial, right? Winner loser is gonna mean a lot or whatever, right? So should be fun.
This is definitely the toughest bracket. These are the 3 highest scores in the league, and then we looked at it. Draco, super hit and miss. Kevin, pretty, low scoring in his victories. And then you were really solid in the beginning and then kind of tapered off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would much rather be in this bracket than this bracket.
Yeah.
But this is all going to potentially change. I mean, we don't have to rehash it because we did it earlier on in the show, but it's like, it could be Josh and Tyler securing spots that, came out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
which are that would be your and my spots right now, or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think Traco's
don't expect a podcast during the playoffs if none of us or neither of us are in it.
I'm just hanging my hat on the fact that I'm 6 points off from the top scorer in the entire league.
Yeah, and then
I'm the only one in the 1600 category for points against. I mean,
poop emoji 2 years in a row. Yep, yeah.
Dude, people really are circling this on their calendar, and I'm gonna stop talking trash or something because I'm getting blowback. But Johnny, it was great to have you back, man. It was fun to really dig in and a lot to talk about in the league right now, and it should be exciting. People should be excited about it because it's anyone's game.
Nick, I'm excited. Yeah, I know. Poor Nick. 2 years
Nick,
in a row. But
Nick can take joy in
Nick can play the Reaper, like you say. Yeah, he can knock somebody off, right? Knock somebody out at this point, and then it would be funny to see one of the teams that, like, whoever is the highest team that doesn't make the playoffs, if they ended up with the punishment or something like that, right?
That's certainly possible.
Yeah,
I mean that's what happened with Ryan last year. So
he was middle of the pack. He
literally was kind of clinched for win, but didn't set one of his guys on his. He lost a game he shouldn't have lost because he forgot to set somebody on the roster who was clearly out prior to the game starting, and that was the difference maker of making him 6th spot going into playoffs the week before playoffs, down into the toilet bowl, and sure enough.
And then he must have just stopped setting his lineup or just checked
out.
No,
he was super anxious about it and really
pissed and and then no payout, no nothing. He still owes.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, yeah, and then he got banished.
His wife just needs to serve. His wife needs to serve him up 12 hours straight of pancakes.
She was asking oh, is there anything else he can do to serve his punishment? No.
That's why I think we need an alternative punishment that is more time efficient this time around. But
and then he was oh, there's not really any local IHOPs, and I circled 6 of them.
Sacramento area.
Yeah, there's 6 within 30 miles. Too bad, my friend. But
nice try. Yeah.
Anyway, so if you just had to call it, I know we're wrapping, but if you had to call it, who wins, who loses, just kind of gut.
What in the? Oh, you mean for who wins it all, and then
who's in the singlet at the gym?
Man, I don't know.
IHOP.
I don't know. I mean, last year, the winner ended up being your uncle, right? Gosh, I'm blanking on his name now.
No, my brother-in-law, Tony.
Yeah, your brother-in-law, Tony. Yeah, and
Austin's
he wasn't. He was maybe the 3rd or 4th. Team going into the playoffs or whatever. He wasn't the 1 or 2 seed. I feel like
he kind of built momentum through he
as the playoffs were going on.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, it's hard to say. Oh, it could be Kevin or it could be Ian. Because somebody could just go on a run, and it just just depends on how their players perform that week. Yeah,
I know.
I don't know. I honestly don't know who to pick. It'd be tough. I guess if I had to pick a toilet bowl person, I probably would pick Austin at the moment, just because I think his roster is the least impressive, and probably is the most likely to just falter down the stretch. But he also could put some new people in there and it work out well or something like that. But
I think Austin at least has the path. I think the guys that are like really risky is like, Josh Davis has been like, pretty low scoring. Tyler has been pretty low scoring.
Right. Yeah. If you've been low scoring throughout the most of the year, then that's maybe a concern going into it. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just excited to find out. We'll see.
I know it'll be really interesting to see who wins. I mean, Ian has just consistently been scoring pretty well. He could easily win.
I'm impressed with his season, because he didn't look that great.
Even
he looked good. He looked good off the bat, but then it kind of seemed like it was okay. This is not going to be his year, and then all of a sudden it's 7-4.
I think So a lot to be seen.
More to be seen. Yeah,
we're over time on this pod.
Do we have a time limit on this pod? I don't know. I think
I feel like we were making up for like missed.
We were, exactly. This last couple, So
maybe we really dug in and kind of, got into it. So that was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
We'll see you next week. I mean, this whole thing's gonna get shaken up. Over and out.
All right.
Kick off to the game now. Darren and Johnny here. Wow. Talking NFL, no doubt. Breakdowns and the standout. Big plays and the touchdowns. Huddled in the background. Each week we break it down. Our podcast is the town. Game day recap on the run. Darren, Johnny having fun. Tune in for the highlights, son. First down hit and we're done. From the field to the show. Touchdowns catching fire, yo. Every week we let it flow. Darren, Johnny's voice, with the stats and the plays. Sundays like a maze. Analysis amaze. NFL these new days. Yeah. Game day recap on the run. Darren, Johnny having fun. Tune in for the highlights, son. First down hit and we're done.